So how are things going?
It's dog hell.
Uh-oh.
It's I'm I'm kneeling and I'm old. It doesn't work. Um, it's okay. I can tell that Jack, he's right here in the crate to my left. So I'm trying to ignore. Um, I can tell he's pretty smart. He's already starting to pick up with what I want him to do, like things I want him to stay off of. Since he is a border collie, probably a mix, he's insane all the time. But I'm having problems finding things to entertain him, and I don't know if that's vision related or personality related.
Sure.
And, and the crate's not very good. I am invested. I bought a rough land crate yesterday, so now I have to get him in it. Then I've got a Basset Beagley mix, which is in a room right over there with the door closed, who is having a little bit of territorial aggression, and she's never shown aggression in her life. So that's kind of what we got going on. He would be out now, but he would be all over the house. So
Okay. So talk to me about this. So what's his name?
his name is Jack.
Jack. And how old is Jack?
I was told he was about 2 years old.
Okay.
And sorry.
That's okay. Did you get him as a rescue or?
I did.
So talk to me about that. Where did he come from? I'm just trying to get his background here, just to kind of see if you know what his life was like for the past couple of years. And has he always been blind? Is this something new for him? And how he has been with you since you've got him, and how long have you had him?
Okay, I haven't had him long, but we'll
Okay.
start with Jack's life and lead up to today. So as far as I know, the rescue was notified by an older lady living out in a rural area that she had a really sick, emaciated dog on her front porch drinking 5 gallons of water a day and peeing himself, and she didn't know what to do with him. She called the rescue. The rescue came out. They searched around. They ended up finding his owner, who was a farmer. And the farmer's like, I don't have a use for a blind border collie, and surrendered him to the rescue. I was caring.
Oh, man.
So I wanted to give him a chance because I'm slightly insane when it comes to animals. So
Good for you.
yeah, well, hopefully in a month or so I'll be saying that, because I have done basic training with 2 other dogs, not my military basic training, but a different one. Okay, so at that point, Jack had been at care since around November. I'm not sure what all they did. I would assume he also has diabetes insipidus.
Okay.
Are you familiar? Water diabetes?
Yes, ma'am.
And that is a happy point in our life. Believe it or not, it's the one thing he will submit to is his eye drops. I just hold him until he stops and get those suckers in. But so he was at care for about 2 months. A few weeks ago, he went up for adoption, and Saturday I took him home.
Awesome.
And yeah, so here we are with a house that smells like poo-poo and dogs in separate rooms.
Okay. So let's work on all of the stuff that Jack needs to be successful with you. And, whenever we bring new puppies home, puppy's 2 years old, he's not a puppy anymore, but whenever we bring dogs home, it's often, it would be like me bringing home somebody to your house whenever you were a little kid and just throwing them there with you. And now they've got your attention. So we've taken attention away from your first, I'll call it your firstborn puppy there with you that you had. And I don't know if you have anybody else that lives in the home with you. But if you do, then it's a little bit easier. But if you're single and you're alone, then it makes it a little bit more difficult, because your first dog is used to having all of your attention. And even those that are married or that have kids, the dogs usually tend to gravitate towards one person more than the others, and it takes the attention away. So we would just want to make sure that we're giving equal attention to your first puppy as well as Jack. Jack will need a little more attention, but it's going to be a little more specialized attention with that. So it's a little bit easier for Jack that he was born blind than it is if he goes blind or loses an eye or loses both of his eyes later on in life, because he doesn't know any different now.
I'm sorry. I hear something. I'm like, I think the crate might be being peed in right at this moment. We don't know.
Uh-oh.
It's
So
he lived out on the land. What do you do?
sure. Well, I can tell you what we're going to do is we're going to try to fix this. We're going to try to help with the potty training. We're going to try to help with the behavior. We're going to try to help with getting him comfortable to your home and getting comfortable to the new life. So that's what we're going to help with. So it's a little bit easier since he has been blind his whole life to train him because his senses, other senses, his smell, his hearing are heightened because he uses those more now because he can't see. And we're going to use those to our advantage.
Okay.
So let's start off with talking about nutrition and what you're feeding, when you feed. What does it look like whenever he eats his food? Is it gobbling all at once? Does he graze throughout the day? Is it once in the morning, once in the evening? Is there a mealtime in the middle there? What's that look like?
Right now, which I'm trying to work out what's going to work best, is he's getting fed 1 cup 3 times a day. He gets 1 at night, 1 mid-morning, and then 1 around a person dinner time, 5 or 6. My other doggo, she has something jacked up with her pylorus. And I have to feed her 4 times a day or she regurges. I did not volunteer for that when I adopted her. That came on later. So I'm not totally insane.
Okay, so you're just feeding, so your first dog, you're just feeding, or I'm sorry, you're feeding small portions, right?
Correct.
And you're probably hand feeding?
No, I do not need a hand.
So she'll eat out of a bowl?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just have to divide it up because I have to keep her stomach full for as long as I can between feedings.
Sure.
But I think,
slow
Pardon?
feeder, are you using a slow feeder at all?
I have not used a slow feeder.
Okay. I don't know if that'll help with any of the regurgitation or not, but you might look at a slow feeder for your other pup.
I have thought about that.
Huh?
I have thought about that.
Yep. Yeah, you might try it. I'm not saying it's going to work, but if it allows her some comfort, then, what is it? 10 or 15 bucks on Amazon to buy one of those slow feeders.
I have one.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
I had a healer pass away November 21 of lymphoma, and she needed the slow feeder. So I just have to dig it out.
Okay. Yeah, dig it out. Try it. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. She's still going to get the same amount of food. It's just going to be in a slower time. And maybe that will allow her stomach to digest it easier instead of gobbling all at once. I know my Frenchie, she gobbles everything at once. So I got to get a slow feeder because I'm afraid that it's just going to end up causing bloat, or she's going to have, acid reflux or indigestion or something like that, and upset her stomach. So maybe a slow feeder would help. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. And she's been up to MU several occasions with all sorts of studies. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So let's talk about feeding. So whenever we feed our dogs, we want to make sure that we're watching them afterwards to kind of gauge when it is that we see the behaviors they're going to display that they need to go outside. Because all dogs will display some type of a behavior. It may be ever so subtle, but they will display a behavior. Maybe they're going to the same spot. That's a behavior because they're learning that this is my spot to go to. Maybe it's in their crate. Maybe it's on a puppy pad. Maybe it's on by the door. Maybe we've got them pattern trained to go to the door. So we want to make sure that wherever it is that we're watching it, and we got to watch them a little bit closer, especially in the beginning time, because like with Jack not being able to see, are you able to get him to the door? Oh, I am so sorry. Are you able to get him to the door? Are you guiding him there? How does that work?
He knows the back door, and he knows the back door, and he knows the spot to go potty. He already has that planned.
Okay. Does he go outside, or do you have an inside area that he goes?
He goes outside unless he's in his crate. He's been in his crate since about 2:15 today. because I
Okay.
didn't want to get him out right before the appointment because you probably wouldn't see me. So
Oh, gotcha. So is there a reason you say that I wouldn't see you?
yes, because I would be like trying to keep him from being all over everything.
Okay, so can I give you some advice on how to fix that?
Yes.
The only way to have control of a dog is to have physical control. So whenever you say, I want to let him out, but he would be running all over the place, let's think of a solution on how to stop him from running all over the place. If we want our dogs to stay with us in the vicinity or near us, we want to hold them, which is a physical control, or we want to have them on a collar and a leash or a harness and a leash in the beginning until they understand that we want them to stay with us in close proximity. So the other way to have physical control is to have them on a leash. So I would challenge you to say that you could get him out. I prefer collars over harnesses because harnesses distribute weight throughout the body. It's not a real good way to get the correction that you need. So have a collar, have him on a leash, and then he can be out with us while we're doing this.
All right. Oh, that's not working. Oh. We'll back up so you can.
Perfect. Is he allowed on the furniture?
No.
Okay, perfect.
My dear sweet mom comes over to let my dogs out at lunchtime, but she's 72. So sometimes rustling them is a little much and it takes her a minute. So.
Okay. So yeah, so the reason that I wanted him out, one, I wanted to see him, see how big he is, and just see how you two interact while we're sitting here discussing different ways that we're going to fix the behaviors, different ways that we're going to, my phone is tilted sideways, I feel. Do I look sideways to you?
It's fine. I teach fifth graders. You could be upside down. I'll still get it.
I love it. As long as we get a juice box afterwards. So
it's fifth grade. We don't do juice boxes. You get to
what?
go home. I know.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a beanie.
So the only way to have control of a dog is to have physical control. You're either going to have physical control by holding the dog or having a dog on a leash. And having a dog on a leash, yes, he's rambunctious, but we are going to slowly stop this rambunctiousness from happening when you don't want it to. Now, whenever he's out in the backyard and he gets to play around, then he gets to do whatever you want. But until then, he's going to have to mind. Blind or not, it doesn't matter. He still needs manners. He still needs to have that obedience. The only way to get manners on the dog is through obedience, to give them something to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with some basic obedience, just a basic sit. And then I also want to talk about your house. So is your house a one level?
It is a one level. It's one of the old 50s styles that's in the center of town. So
perfect. So we don't have to worry about him falling downstairs. Or getting to an area. So we don't have to worry about baby gates. How is he on getting around your house? Is he good on getting around your house? Is there any issues with that?
He still bumps into things, but if he's not hyper excited or excited, he does much better. It's almost like he doesn't think what he's doing.
Whenever he gets hyper?
Yeah. And then that's when we tend to bonk our heads on stuff.
Sure. And whenever he's in his kennel, is he in his kennel quite a bit throughout the day, or is he out and free, or how does that look?
He's in the kennel about 4 hours at a time right now.
Okay, perfect. Do you have dog treats with you?
I do.
Have you worked with him on any obedience at all?
I have been taking him out in my backyard on a lead, on a really short lead, and just walking with him.
Okay, great.
And
so let's talk about, what's that?
That's all I've done.
Okay, so let's talk about getting some obedience with a sit.
Okay.
So the sit is one of the easiest things that you can teach a dog to do. You can teach a blind dog to sit. You can teach a deaf dog to sit, but you can't teach a blind and deaf dog to sit. So he's sitting there staring right in the camera because he hears me. His senses are really high right now because he smells the treats. He hears me. I'm a different voice for him. This is all new, but that's okay. So I'm going to end up, because we can't do this because he's so rambunctious while you're sitting down, but I'm going to have you stand up here in just a minute. But I want to talk you through how to get a dog into a sit. You may have had prior training. You may have had prior obedience training with dogs and seen how people teach to do dogs, but I want to teach you the way that I do it. The way that I do it may be different than other people, but this is the simplest way. It's the easiest way to get a dog to do what you want them to do through coercive training. So you're going to coerce him to do it through a treat. And all you're going to do is you're going to take that treat. You're going to be standing up. You're going to have a hold of the leash. You're going to have a short leash. You're not, like you said you were doing outside. You're not going to give him the entire, if you have a 4-foot leash, don't give him the entire 4 foot. If you got a 5 foot, he doesn't get the whole 5 feet. You're only going to give him a short amount of leash because you're trying to keep him there with you, because he can't see you. He can sense you. He can smell you. He can hear you, but he can't see. So we want to make sure that he smells the treat that's in front of his nose. And we're going to take that treat in front of his nose and we're going to go up and over like a rainbow, but we're going to go slow. We don't have to worry about him missing the object because you're going fast. We have to worry about keeping his attention focused on that treat in your hand in front of his nose, and you're going to go up and over slowly. While you're going up, you're going to call him by name. You're going to say, Jack, see it. And as soon as that butt, we're going to picture this. This is his nose right here. Okay. We're going to picture back here where my watch is his butt. Here's the treat in my hand. I've got this little imaginary treat here in my hand in front of his nose. So I'm going to go up and over. And as I go up, you notice his nose right here, my middle finger, his nose is following that treat up and over. And I'm going slow. I don't go fast, because if I go fast, he'll miss it. He'll miss that treat there. So we're going to go slow up and over. Notice what my back end, his butt back here by my wrist. This is his butt. It's going down. And notice the angle that it's going in. So as soon as it comes up, his butt hits the ground right here. As soon as his butt hits the ground, picture a string line between his nose and that treat, and that string line pops that treat in his mouth.
Okay.
So as soon as his butt hits the ground, that treat has to immediately go into his mouth. What that is a marker. You're also going to use your verbal commands. A lot of people use clickers. I don't use clickers, not because I don't like them, but because I lose the darn things. I always forget where I put them, but I never am away with my mouth. I never gone from my mouth. It's always there. I can always say yes or good sit. The yes or the good sit is a marker. It's that clicker. It's just I'm verbalizing it to him. So as that treat is going up and over, his butt hits the ground, that treat goes into his mouth, I'm telling him, good sit. So I'm reinforcing the task. It's sit. As soon as he goes into a sit, good sit, that treat goes into his mouth. So I'm telling him as I go up and over, sit. And as soon as his butt hits the ground, that treat goes into his mouth. Simultaneously, I'm telling him, good sit.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Perfect. So I want a short leash. You can stand up for me. Perfect. And your camera angle was fine there. Oh, tilt it down just, there you go. Perfect. So short leash. Can you tilt it up just a little bit higher?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, there you go. Short leash, perfect. No more leash than that. Now I want you to call him by name and tell him, Jack. As he looks up at you, put that treat in front of his nose. Slowly go up and over his head and say, see it.
Jack, see it.
Nope, it has to be right on his nose. Hold it on his nose.
Jack, sit.
Slower, Mom, slow. This has to be so slow.
Okay.
You cannot go fast on this at all. It has to be super slow with him.
Jack, Sit. Oh, I need
Slower.
to, should I?
Go
Stretch.
way slower.
Okay.
I mean, I want you to go like a millisecond at a time.
Okay. Jack. Jack. Sit.
Boom, in his mouth. There you go. Good sit.
Good sit.
Good sit. What kind of treats are you feeding him?
These are actually broken up Beggin strips.
Okay, so we want to get away from Beggin strips. Beggin strips are not good for dogs.
Okay. I was
Get some healthy ones. There's a company here in Springfield called Springfield Pet Wants. Go over there. They're extremely healthy. Go over there and get you some pet treats, or you can make them at your house or whatever. But so I want to see that again. So literally, Mom, you are going slow. I mean, you are going very slow up and over because he can't see your hand. All he's going by is that odor, and he knows that that odor is going up, and you're almost touching his nose. You don't have to touch his nose, but you're almost touching, and you're going so slow up and over. But you notice he did it.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he went into a sit. That's the objective. So to build a house, we start out with what?
The foundation.
Right, the foundation, because we cannot build an Eiffel Tower without having a good, strong foundation. So you can build a building as tall as you want, as long as the foundation is good and solid. We can do anything that we want to with him, even being blind, as long as we have a good foundation. The good foundation starts out with the basic sit. We're going to have you doing the sit. I'm going to ask you to do that sit different times throughout the day, and we're going to get into that here in a little bit. But I want to see you work on that sit with him, and I'm going to guide you through it even more. So work on that sit 2 or 3 more times here, and I want to see him working, and I want to see you with that treat in front of his nose, slow. You can untangle your leash there. Yeah, absolutely. Slow up and over, and that's good. So as soon as he looks up at you, put that treat in front of his nose and slowly up and over.
Jack. Jack, Jack. Sit. Good sit.
Good. Now, Mom, pause for just a second. At the very end, and you'll be able to see this later, at the very end, you pushed it way past his head. Okay. So I want it to be at the tip of his nose. As soon as that butt hits the ground, the treat goes into his mouth. Don't continue taking him any farther. Okay. When you see that fulcrum, okay, here's your pivot point right here. Okay, when you see that body start to go back, I want you to stop that treat right there and let that butt go down. So slowly. So the teeter-totter is right here. You're teeter-tottering back and forth. So the treat's up here where my middle finger, the butt back here. As soon as that starts to go up and it hits, that treat's got to go into his mouth. Don't take that treat any farther.
Okay.
And with him, you're going to have to go slow. Remember, as slow as you can. I know for you, you may want to rush it. You may want to be but I got to get it there. Take your time. The fine points in dog training are what will make or break your dog. So what I mean by the fine points is the more that you pay attention to the small details, those really, really small details, they're going to pay dividends later on, especially for a blind dog.
Okay.
So remember, treat in front of the nose really slow. As soon as that butt hits the ground, stop going over and put it in his mouth and tell him good sit. So it's up and over is sits, butt on the ground, good sits.
Okay.
Okay. Happy fun, Mom. This has to be happy time.
Jack. Come on, good boy. You are a good boy, aren't you? That's good. Good. Jack. Jack. See it? Do I reset?
Yes, reset.
It over?
Okay. Yes, reset. Yes, ma'am.
Jack. See? Oh, he grabbed me though. What do you do then?
You don't reward that. You stop. You pull him out of the sit now. Pull him out of the sit. Just have him. Don't literally pull him. Use the treat as a lure in front of his nose to get him to come up out of the sit. Okay. Try it again.
Jack. See? Oh, I got to draw that out.
Boom, in his mouth, quick.
Oh, I missed it because his paws went up.
Yep.
Okay, we'll try it again.
So get it into his mouth as quick as you can. If he's going to continue to do the paw thing, then we're going to do something different. But I want to see this again.
Sure. Jack, 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 Jack.
Good sits. Remember to pair that treat in his mouth with good sits. That's the marker. Good sits. And you don't have to drag the sits out. You can, but what I want you to do is just say, see it, up and over. So you don't have to drag. I am over exaggerating my words. So you don't have to over exaggerate. It's literally see it. Okay. Again, Mom.
Jack, Jack. See? Jack. See? Good sit.
Okay, Mom. So let's look at where you are now. You gained 2 foot because you were pushing him back into a sit. I don't want you to push him back into a sit. I want you to, like a basketball player, I want you to plant your feet and I want you to stand firm like a tree. Okay? I want you to hold him close to you. I want you to have that short leash and he needs to go up and over. I don't want you to, because it's almost like you're pushing him back. So I want him to come to you right there. Get ready. Don't move. Plant your feet up and over. See it?
Yeah. See?
Plant your feet. Boom. Did he miss the treat?
He got it, but for some reason, the food to the mouth thing eludes him. He knows
okay, then
there.
Stop using your fingers and use a flat palm. Let him lick it out of your hand. Okay?
We can do that.
Yep. All right, let's do it again, Mom. Repetition, repetition, repetition. I love you're a school teacher because you get this.
I was also 20 years military, so I get this.
There you go. Then I'm going to start using this is, okay, so military terms. Let's talk about military terms. In the military, you have a preparatory command and a command of execution. If I'm in a platoon formation or a squad formation, I want the entire squad or platoon to turn left. I give you a preparatory command of left, which tells everybody in that squad or platoon you're getting ready to turn left. The command of execution, which is the command that I give you for everybody to turn at once, is face. So I'm telling you left, face. That means that you know that everybody's going to go left. The same with dogs. So we give a preparatory command. What is your preparatory command with Jack?
I haven't had one yet because
You do. It's his name.
Ah, yes.
Your preparatory command with Jack is his name.
Because
You're
it
telling
gets his
him
attention. He knows I want something.
Right. It's Jack. And he's like, huh? Yeah, Mom. I know I'm getting ready to do something because you only call his name when you want him to do something, right?
Yeah.
Stop peeing, stop pooping, come here, stop barking, sit down, plots off, whatever it is. That's your preparatory command is Jack. And then you're saying sit. That's the command of execution. Jack, sit. So Jack, a preparatory command of, yeah, Mom, I want you to sit. So I'm going to tell you sit. So you're going to execute a sit.
Okay. Uh-oh.
So that's how you correlate. That's how I correlate because I retired from the Army as well. The training here on the preparatory command versus command of execution. So it's Jack, sit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Jack.
Perfect. Let's see it again, Mom.
Okay, Jack. See it? Good sit.
Okay, so here's what I want you to do. Instead of coming, because it looks like you're almost pushing him up, I want you to slowly underhand it. Come underhand and up.
Okay.
Still holding your fingers, but come underhand and up. He's just bored. That's why he's chewing a leash. He needs a job. He's a border collie. Border collies want a job.
I know, and I have been trying to figure something out puzzle-wise, toys.
Okay, but here's his job. These are his jobs now. The basic obedience, this is going to be his job. This is going to slowly diminish that desire to want to be misbehaving and destructive. Okay.
So
Instead of up and
underhand.
over, underhand. Yep, underhand, up and over. Don't let him eat it out of your hand until he gets in that sit.
Okay. Jack. Sit. Good sit.
Boom. Look at that, Mom. That was perfect. How did that feel?
Felt like I might win.
Huh?
It felt like I might win.
Like you might win, you're going to win. He did it, right?
Because everybody said I was crazy for adopting him.
What?
So.
You are not crazy. Good for you. No, we're going to make Jack, we're going to make him a good dog. You're going to see a total transformation. So one more time, I want to see it one more time, and then you can either let him run free or put him in his kennel if you want. But I just want to, unless he peed in it, don't put him in if he peed in it. And then I want to talk to you about when we're going to ask him to do this sit.
Okay.
Perfect.
Sit. Good sit.
So you see you took a step forward, Mom?
I
Did you feel it? You did. You didn't plant those feet. You got to keep those feet planted. Do it again.
One more time. One more time.
Yep. And if he's already in a sit, Mom, take a step back and tell him here. Lead him with the treat in front of his nose and tell him here. All right, so he's out of a sit. That's okay.
Jack. Good sit.
Bam.
Cut my feet where they need to be. Sorry.
Huh?
I'm the one who, I know that training is more to do with me than with him. So.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Absolutely. So that is how you teach the basic sit. In the old days, in the military, they used to smack the butt and pull up on the leash or pick the chin up and push down on the butt. We don't do that anymore. I don't have to touch your dog. I don't have to control your dog. I'm able to teach you how to get your dog into a sit by coercing him. We use the coercion with a treat and a motivation of, you're going to get this treat if you do what I ask you to. And all I'm doing is just up and over, because he's not, I mean, he could be a trick dog in the future. Who knows? I don't know. But right now, he's not doing backflips.
Yeah.
So the up and over, that slow up and over, is causing him to go into that sit. And you're marking that behavior. You're telling him, Jack, yeah, Mom, preparatory command, sit. You're using the treat and the word sit. So now he understands, Mom wants me to sit. So I got to sit. Up and over, and as soon as he sits, you're marking it again. You're marking that behavior of his butt on the ground of sit, good sit. That's your marker, good sit. So here's your homework, and we're not done with training yet, but here's your homework for the week.
Okay.
Your homework for the week is a sit. Your homework for the week is making sure that he's getting comfortable to being around the house, making sure that you're getting him out to go to the bathroom on time, and yada, yada, yada. But before we do that, before he goes outside, you have to ask him to sit.
Okay.
Before he comes inside, you have to ask him to sit.
Okay.
Before he eats his food, you have to ask him to sit. And I'm going to teach you how to do all this. I'm not just going to say you got to do this and then leave you with it. If you go on a walk with him, he has to sit whenever you stop walking.
Okay.
If you take him on vehicle rides, if you take him to different places, which you should be,
okay,
before you get in the vehicle, he has to sit.
Okay.
So let's talk about this for a second. I asked you to make sure that he sits before you go outside. So how do we make our dogs sit whenever they go outside? We go to the back door and we're like, Jack, and he comes to us because he knows where the back door is. And we say, sit, and he looks at you, and we say, sit, and he looks at you, and we say, sit, and he looks at you, and he's like, I don't know what you want, Mom. So what does Mom have to do? Mom has to be prepared. Mom has to understand that if I want Jack to sit, I've got to give him some motivation. The motivation is the treat. So therefore, you must have a treat every single time you ask him to sit.
Okay.
Now,
So,
this isn't for his whole life. Huh?
What? What was the end of what you said?
You don't have to give him a treat his whole life to get him to sit. This
So
is only during the first, this is during the first week. Every time you ask him to sit, you have to have a treat in your hand in front of his nose, up and over.
Okay.
Every single time you ask him to sit. In the military, we always say, if I tell you 3 times, you're going to remember it. The first time you hear it, the second time it's like, yeah, you were kind of listening. The third time it's like, got it. So I'm going to go over things over and over and over and over and over again. So get him to go to the back door. To get him to sit, you got to have a treat. You got to put the treat in front of his nose, up and over like a rainbow, up and over like a rainbow, slow. Jack, yeah, mom, sit, up and over, good sit, treat in the mouth, good sit. Every single time he goes out, every single time he comes in, you have to do that. Now you're saying, yeah, but whenever I get him to the back door, my other dog, she starts barking and yapping and he runs off and he wants to go play with her. Or he hears the doorbell, or he decides that he wants to take off to the other room, or he decides he wants to go get a toy. Well, what do I do then? You can answer that. What do you do then?
When he runs off from going to the door?
How do you stop him from doing that?
So far, he hasn't, but what would I do?
Yes.
I would probably go get him, put him on a lead, and take him to the door.
There you go. Bingo. Yes, ma'am. So the only way to have control of a dog is to have physical control. And a lot of my clients, the reason I tell you that is because they say, well, once I get to the back door and I get him over there, I'm wrangling him over there and I'm trying to get him to sit and he takes off chasing the cat. Well, why'd you let him chase the cat? Why didn't you have him on a leash? But my job is to make sure that you understand why I'm asking you to do this stuff and understand the psychology behind the dog wanting to run off and how you stop that desire in the dog to go play or to go kick into prey drive and go just attack the cat or go play with brother or sister. So you have him on a leash. He's on his collar, just like you have the collar. You have him on a leash. So you have him on a short leash. You take him over to the door. You've already got the treat in your hand and it's up and over. Jack, yeah, mom, sit, good sit. Make sense?
Yes.
Every single time for the first week, he has to go to the door on a leash, on a collar. You have the treat and he goes into a sit.
Okay.
Same thing whenever he comes back inside. You better grab an umbrella if you don't have an awning because you're going to get wet. Because you got to go outside. You got to put him on a leash because you can take him off the leash to put him outside. But to get him back in, he's got to be on a leash because what's going to stop if some squirrel runs across there and he smells it? Or something catches his attention,
Sound.
he hears a noise and he takes off running after it.
Mainly sound is going to be the one thing that does it for him.
Perfect. So if there's a noise out there that distracts him, and he's like, hey, I heard that, mom. I'm going to go chase it. I'm going to go figure out what it is. You can't stop it unless you got him on a leash. So you've got to go outside. You got to put him back on a leash. You got to have the treat and you got to go up and over. Jack, yeah, mom, sit, good sit, treat in the mouth. Every single time, whenever he goes out and whenever he comes in. Let's talk about feeding time. What does that look like? So we got a bowl. We got Jack. We got to have him on a leash, right? Because he could go wherever he wants to.
Yeah.
So we got him on a leash. We're going to use the bowl as our reward. And we're going to tell him, Jack, sit. So Jack's going to go into a sit. As soon as Jack goes into that sit, we put the bowl down. We tell him, good boy. And whenever we tell him, good boy, I want you to grab one of those pieces of food and pull him down to the treat bowl with it. Pull him down to the food bowl with it so he knows that he can go eat.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Say it one more time, please.
Yep. Nope. You're fine. You've got him on a leash. Here's my dog on my leash.
Okay.
I've got the food bowl here. I put the food bowl down, or I'm sorry. I got him on a leash here and I got the food bowl here. I'm going to tell him, Jack, sit. So I'm going to use the food bowl to coerce him into a sit.
Okay.
See it? Once he goes into a sit, I put the food bowl down. I put the food bowl down after he goes into the sit.
Okay.
He doesn't have to hold it. If he pops back up, it's okay. All I'm looking for is the behavior of a sit right now.
Okay.
I'll fix the rest of that later.
Okay.
I just want him to sit. Even if it's for a millisecond and he pops back up, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
For now. We'll fix that next week.
Okay.
Okay. So food bowl, Jack sit. Jack goes into a sit because we got to have a treat in front of his nose, right? You don't even have to have the food bowl. You can have the food bowl on the ground, just use a piece of treat. Use these dog food. He has dry dog food?
Yeah.
Okay. So just leave the bowl on the ground then. We'll make it easier for you. So Jack's here, leave food bowl in there, grab a piece of his food. Jack, sit up and over. Food goes into his mouth. You may have to grab another piece of food and bring it up to his nose and tell him, good boy, and then bring that food back down with his nose. So he's following that food back down to the bowl.
Got it.
Does that make sense? Because he can't see what you're doing, but he can smell it.
Yes.
So we might have to tell him, because he's in a sit, because eventually we got to release him out of a sit. What's going to happen is he's going to eventually sit and he's going to hold it up for up to 1 minute.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to get you to, is him holding a sit up to 1 minute. Well, you got to release him out of that sit at some point in time so he can eat, because we want an obedient dog that has manners. Mm-hmm. And if we're asking him to be obedient, we have to release him from it. We can't just let him think on it on his own on when he wants to come out of a sit. He has to be released from it.
Okay.
So here,
that would be our parade rest.
Huh?
That would be our parade rest.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Got it.
So you got to give him a release command to get him to come out of that position, out of the sit. We're not there yet. All we're doing is making sure that he understands in his mind and he can hear you to go into a sit. So you sit, you get your treat. Sit, get the treat. Sit, get the treat. Next week, we're going to work on him holding that sit for longer.
Okay.
Now is not that time.
No.
Food bowl's on the ground. Grab a piece of his dog food up in front of his dog. Jack, sit, gets the treat or gets the piece of food. Grab another piece of food. Good boy. Put it in front of his nose and give him a release command.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're on a walk with Jack and you stop walking, he has to go into a sit. So of course you have him on a leash already. So you have treats in your pocket. When you stop walking, you put that treat in front of his nose and you say, Jack, see it? Jack goes into a sit. You give him the treat immediately.
Okay.
If he pops back up out of it and decides he wants to do circles or lay down on the ground, I don't care what he does at that point. I'm just looking that when you stop walking, he knows to go into a sit.
Okay.
Okay. At the back door, whenever you're going outside, do you have a sliding door or do you have a door that opens?
Opens.
Okay. All exterior doors on homes in Missouri open in, right?
Mine opens out.
Your back door opens out?
It does.
Oh, my
house.
Okay.
My house was built in 1947.
Oh, okay. That's probably why. So if the door opens out, you don't have to worry about it. But whenever you bring him back inside, don't have him right behind the door.
Okay.
Because when you open the door, huh?
I do have 3 steps.
Okay. So does he go up the steps on his own, or do you tell him up, or do you tell him steps?
He already knows where they're at.
Oh, perfect. Then you don't have to worry about it. So just make sure that he's far enough away from the door that the door doesn't hit him. I know he can't see it, but he can hear it. And if he hears it, he might pop up out of the sit. So we want to make sure that if the door opens out this way, that he's not sitting right here behind the door, because if the door hits him, he's going to have to come up out of a sit, which is counterproductive.
Yeah.
Same thing with the car door. Whenever you open your car door, make sure that he's out of the way of the car door so it doesn't hit him, so he doesn't have to come up out of the sit.
Yeah.
Okay. So from there, I want you to grab a treat. I want you to stay where you're at.
Okay.
I want you to put that treat in front of his. I want you to say, Jack, I want you to put that treat in front of his nose and up and over into a sit right there.
Jack.
Slow. Boom. Look at that.
Good boy.
Good job, Mom. Yay. I'm only allowing you to do that right now because it's fun and he's doing a good job and I want him to love on you. So see, he's a little bit calmer. His demeanor's a little bit more mellow right now, just in the short time that we've been doing this, because dogs are like kids. They need structure and discipline in their life. Would you agree?
Absolutely, I would.
Yep. So structure and discipline, they're looking for that. Where do they get that from? You. They don't get it from anybody else because nobody else communicates with them like we do. If they were just a bunch of dogs together, they'll have pack mentality and they'll just fight each other and they'll just whoever wins, wins, and they'll just do whatever they want to. But they need structure and discipline in life. And that's where he gets it from is you. With that structure and discipline, his anxiety level and his fears and his worries and that destructive or misbehaviors that he's displaying will slowly start to diminish. Are they going to completely go away? They'll probably never go away. But at least we can diminish them to where they're tolerable, and we build manners with him. Make sense?
It makes sense. I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you asked about feeding, the last few nights, since I've only had him since Saturday, I go to work, so I do have to crate him. So I've been using his dinner bowl in the crate to help get him in the crate, because that's a long process to crate train. Since I am now going to feed him with the sit, do you have suggestions for me to be able to get him into the crate without making it a horrible traumatic experience for him?
So you're still going to feed him in the crate. Don't stop that. Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. This is just the only time you're going to ask him to sit for now. You can ask him to sit before he goes in his crate.
Okay. Well, I'm still bribing him to go in a crate. So.
Okay.
With food.
So that's fine. That's totally fine. Continue feeding him in his crate.
Okay.
Okay. You could feed him all 3 meals in his crate if you want to.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. But what I want you to do on the sit is I want you to have him sitting before he goes out, before he comes in, before he eats. So if he's going to do that, if what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying, is you're feeding him in the crate. So how do you make him sit before he eats?
Yes.
So make him sit outside of the crate. And then once he sits, take his food bowl so he knows, put his food bowl in there, and then tell him crate.
Okay, got it.
Or kennel, or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
All you're doing is making him sit on the outside of the crate or the kennel before he goes in.
Okay. Because he really resisted crate training.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, you keep feeding him in there. You're doing a good job, girl. Keep feeding him in there. That will work. Yep, keep doing that. 100%. Believe in it. Do it. Continue it. It's great. But I want you to make him sit before he goes in that crate.
Okay.
Okay.
And at PetSmart, do I just go in and ask for their treats, or are they training treats, or any treats?
They're training treats.
Okay.
And you don't have to just go to Pet Once. I mean, you can go to PetSmart, Petco, Pet's Way. You can go to Amazon.
Yeah.
You can go wherever you want.
Honestly, I don't usually give Beggin treats. I just know they stink. They're really smelly. And that's why I got them.
His nose is stronger than you would believe. So don't think that you just have to give him a treat because it smells strong. Get some treats. Don't get the hard chewy treat, or don't get the hard treats. Get the chewy treats because they're easier whenever you're training. And they're just easier and they're quicker for him to chew. So he's rambunctious. Grab a treat and do a sit with him.
Jack. Oops, we lost it.
That's okay.
Handler error. Come on.
Yep. All this pawing and stuff we're going to fix. I'm not going to fix that today. This is not the time, because he's a little more challenged because of his lack of sight. So I want to take baby steps with you guys, and not like baby steps where we're going to drag this out for months, but I want to take baby steps with you guys so that he gets it and you get it, so you don't get frustrated and you're able to communicate effectively with him, since he does have a loss of his eyesight there. So
that's a good time for a sit. Jack, see?
Yep.
Good sit.
Good. And see, you didn't have to move.
No.
You didn't have to move at all. And he sat right there. Boom.
And
you
now
can
he's
even do
calm
this.
for a minute.
Huh?
He's calm for a minute.
He is calm because that's what he wants. So also what I want you to do is I want you to stop loving him whenever he goes into a sit, because you can praise your dog out of a sit. You can get him riled up and anxious. And I don't want you to do that. He's already rambunctious in himself just because that's what type of dog he is. So don't love on him too much whenever you're doing training.
Got
If
it.
you're going to love on him, take from the back of his head down his back at an angle like this. We go at an angle like this because that's the way that his back is. That's the angle that his back is in a sit. Would you agree?
Yes.
So one stroke from the back of the head between the ears, just slightly between the shoulder blades on the front of his legs, on the front of his shoulder blades right there. Just one stroke. Good sits. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. If you sit there and scruff him up and love on him and tell him, oh, that's a good boy. That's a good boy, Jack. Yeah. See, he's like, oh, what's going on here? I love this. I love the way he talks to me, or I love how mom loves on me. So let's try it again. This time, no loving at the end, just a sit and tell him, got a good boy, good sits.
Jack, sit. Good sit. Good boy.
Okay. Now, I don't want you to do that anymore. No more down the back. I told you that just to give you an idea, but I don't want to keep him riled up. So just a treat into a sit. But here's what I saw you do. So his nose is here. You're coming up and you're almost coming up too high for him.
Okay.
Because he's really stretching his neck up to get that treat. We don't want him to stretch. It's not going to hurt him to do it, but all it is doing is causing him to eventually want to jump after the treat or lift his front legs off the ground. Okay?
Okay. Jack, come on. Come on. Good. Good. Stand up, Jack. Come on.
So stand up. So he's too much in your space. I don't like how he's all up in your face and stuff like that. So yep, let's stand up and do it.
I don't either.
Perfect.
Jack. Good sit.
Boom.
Oh.
See how it was
Did
in
it
front of your face
overhand
and you
again.
brought it? You brought it around so fast, he was looking for it almost. It was almost like, man, I could see that go by.
All right, Jack, 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 Jack.
So don't do that. No, wait. Don't tug up on his leash. Get his attention with the treat. Put the treat in front of his nose.
Jack. Jack.
Square yourself up. There you go. Keep him in front of you. There you go.
Yeah.
Boom. Good job, Mom. That was perfect. That was way better than the other couple that you did before. So what we discovered through this is you're not as productive in getting him into a sit whenever you're down on the ground like this as you are standing up. So now we know that we need to work on it whenever you're standing and he's standing there with you.
Okay.
Okay. So you're also going to work on this twice a day for 5 minutes apiece.
Okay.
2 times a day, 5 minutes apiece. You're going to work on the see it. However, I want you to change it up where you do it. I want you to do it in the bedroom. I want you to do it in the bathroom, in the living room, in the kitchen, in the backyard, in the front yard. I want you to do it on the sidewalk out by the road. I want you to do it in the garage if you got a garage. I want you to take him places. I want you to work on it at different places with the sit. Always change it up. Never do it at the same location and never do it at the same time.
Okay.
If you do, you will pattern train him. You will have a perfectly obedient dog at home, but when you get out of that home, he's going to be like, oh my Lord, what is that noise? What is that smell? I don't know what's going on. Somebody help me. And it's going to be chaos in his mind. And we don't want to breed that chaos with him.
Yeah, I think he has enough.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I want to see it a couple more times here, Mom. I want to see a couple more of these sits. So go ahead and stand up. Let's pause for just a second. Let's make sure that we have the leash correct. Let's make sure that we are standing firm, that we are in control, and that we are asking him to sit in a polite manner. So he already sat, so he doesn't get it. He understands, he's getting this game. But we didn't ask him to sit, he sat on his own. So he's not going to get a treat because we need to ask him to in the beginning. So what I want you to do is I want you to put that treat in front of his nose. I want you to make a 360-degree circle and tell him here.
Like this?
Yeah, no, just turn. Turn in a circle. Tell him here.
Oh, okay. We're doing, okay. What was the command?
You turn in a circle, about face.
Okay, come on. Let's go.
You about face.
Me about face.
Yeah,
Okay.
with the treat in front of his nose, you're just guiding him in a circle.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I got you.
Sorry, I
Oh,
might not have been clear with my.
that's okay. So I'm going to turn.
Nope, there you go. Now stop. Put him in the sit.
Sit. Good sit.
You pushed him. No, you didn't. He didn't sit. That was not a good. That
That
was
was
bad
not-
on both of your part. Yep. So
Okay.
all you did there is watch my face. Here's his face, and here's his face, and here's his. You did this.
Oh, okay.
You literally pushed him with the treat. Okay. Stand tall like a tree. Plant those feet. Don't move. Treat in front of the nose, up and over where he is. Shorten that leash. There you go. Perfect.
Sit.
Boom. That is perfect. It should look like that every single time. Good
Okay.
job, Mom.
One more
That's
time.
the way it should look every single time. I love it.
Sit. Good sit.
Boom. Good. And Mom, I don't want you to get in the habit of making him do a 360. Just because I give you an idea or a tool to use, don't wear it out. Don't
Okay.
use that every single time.
Okay.
You may just walk off with him in the other room, and while you're walking to the other room, Jack, see it? Good boy.
Okay.
But he's more calm whenever he's doing this training than he was when he first came out because he's got a job.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And that chewing on the leash, I'll show you how to fix that when we meet in person next time.
Okay. Awesome.
Yep, we'll fix that as well. So just remember, treat in front of the nose, up and over. As soon as his butt hits the ground, the treat immediately goes into his mouth.
Underhand.
Every single time you ask him to sit, you have to have a treat in front of his nose. Every single time. If you're working your twice a day, 5 minutes a piece, all 5 minutes, he's getting a treat. Boom, 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 boom. Now, it could be his dog food that you're using. You don't have to use a treat. It could be his food. So if you wanted to do breakfast time while you're asking him to sit, just using his dog food, do that.
Okay.
That's perfectly fine. You don't have to go out and spend a ton of money on treats. You can use his dog food. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
But he has to sit before he goes outside. He's got to be on a leash. Otherwise, he can go wherever he wants. He's got to sit before he comes back inside. He's got to sit before he gets his food, before he gets in his crate, because you're going to feed him in his crate. So once he gets to his crate, you put his food in his crate, you grab a morsel of food, you got him on a leash, see it, good, see it. Then you may have to reach in there and get it and shake it for him so he hears it and he goes in the crate after it.
Got it.
Okay. He's got to sit. If you go on a walk and you stop walking, whether you're texting on your phone, you're talking to a neighbor, husband, kids, whatever it is, crossing the street, he has to stop. Go into a sit when you stop.
Got it.
Before you get into a vehicle, he has to sit before you open the door. This also means if you take him to different stores, Bass Pro, Lowe's, Home Depot, Petco, Petway, Springfield Pet Ones, wherever you take him before you go in the door, unless it's a sliding door, he's got to sit.
Okay.
Even at the businesses. We're teaching him manners. We're teaching him obedience. And through all of that, that will slowly diminish the behaviors that we don't want.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Yep. So after he eats, the same old adage, you've had dogs before, 10 or 15 minutes, typically you want to be watching him to take him outside. And
Yeah.
that's a perfect time for you as well to work on this sit. Even if you take him outside and he doesn't do anything but go out there and play, work on this sit whenever you go to the back door, bring him back in, let him hang out for a couple of minutes, and then take him right back out again and tell him time to go break, or time to go potty, or time to go pee, or time to go outside, or whatever word you use. With blind dogs, with dogs that are really at a disadvantage, but any dogs, I teach one-word commands. Sit, sits, down, off, plots, 9, no, fooey, here, heel, foos. They're one-word commands. Jack. So they're understanding the one-word commands, because if you sit there and have this big, long dissertation with them, and you're like, hey, Jack, I want you to come over here and sit for me, buddy. The only word that he understood was Jack and sit. He didn't understand the rest of it. And the Jack and the sit got lost in translation because he didn't know.
Yeah, I get that.
Yep. So twice a day, 5 minutes apiece. Work on this every single day. After 3 days,
Mhm.
he's going to start sitting on his own. Whenever he goes to the back door, you watch. Whenever you guys go to the back door and he's on a leash, he'll start sitting on his own automatically. But you can't stop. You have to continue doing it every day for the first week until or at least until you and I meet again.
Okay. Well, I mean, how long does
Every
it take
day.
for a person to?
Huh?
How long does it take for a person to do something like that? So yeah.
Yeah.
Muscle memory too.
Yep. Repetition. That's just like, you're being a school teacher. You understand 1 + 1 is 2. You start teaching that day one whenever the kids are going to school. And you teach it day after day after day. You write it 1 + 1 is 2. 1 + 1 is 2. You show different objects. You talk about it. You watch Sesame Street. You just do it every single day until it becomes muscle memory, until you tell the kids, hey, what's 1 + 1? And they're like 2. Because you've done it so much. You don't need a calculator. You don't need your fingers and toes anymore. You understand 1 + 1 is 2.
Oh, got it.
Makes sense?
Yes, it does make sense.
That's all you're doing with him is just muscle memory. You're teaching Jack muscle memory through manners and obedience. And eventually, whenever you go to that door, he's going to automatically sit. Every client that I have trained over the past 10 years that we've done this, within 3 to 4 days, their dog is automatically sitting when they go to the back door every single time.
Got it. That is awesome because
That's as long as you do your homework, though.
well, yeah, it's up to me.
Yep.
So, I know
I'll tell you the proper tools that you need, the collar, the leash, the treats. I'm going to give you the knowledge. I'm going to show you how to do it, or I'm going to tell you how to do it. I'm going to show you how to do it, and then I'm going to make sure that you can do it the right way. Okay? So
Okay.
two more sits, and we'll end for tonight. Make them good, Mom. Jack's counting on you.
I know. Okay, let's see. Square them up. Big planted. See? Good sit.
Bam. Look how much faster he's sitting now.
It's great. Okay, let's get him.
Nope. Stop.
Nope, I'm
You
pulling.
said, let's get up. Did he understand any of that?
Not one dang word.
Nope, not one bit. But what can you teach him? You can teach him that a treat in front of his nose and the word here. Say here. Treat in front of the nose and here. And then it's like a string line with that treat to the nose. You're just slowly pulling him away up out of a sit.
Okay, so I have to get in my head. I really need to use the treat to guide him for everything that I want him to do.
You have to. He can't see you.
Okay.
Yes, you absolutely have to. He can hear you, but for him, he's already in that proximity of you. For him, he can't get much closer to you because he doesn't know. So you've got to use that treat to lure him.
Jack. Oh, I dropped the stinking thing.
That's okay. Here, stop for just a second. Let's pause.
Okay.
I want you to take that treat, put it in front of his nose, and I want you to take 3 steps backwards, but I want that treat to stay in front of his nose and tell him here.
Here.
Take 3 steps backwards. Here.
Here.
Boom. Okay.
Here.
Put him in a sit, Mom. Oh, nope. Take 1 step back.
Here.
Sit.
Here.
Nope.
Oh, I did.
Nope.
Okay.
Stop. Pause a second. Okay. Remember, Mom, you were telling him here as that treat was beside your thigh.
And that's not leaving him with anything.
He can't smell your thigh. He can smell the treat. So that treat has got to stay in front of his nose as you're saying here. Okay. So I want you to take him 1 step back here.
Okay, 1 step back with a here.
Yep.
Here.
Good. Sit.
Sit. I went to the front. Good sit.
There you go.
Little
It'll
floppy.
be easier whenever I'm with you so I can show you, but I want you to watch this because I recorded this entire thing here. So I want you to watch it back.
Okay. And then I have marked for me which ones were correct. So
Yep. Good.
thank you very much. We have a lot of work to do this week. So
You do. Yep. You have a lot of work to do, but it's going to be rewarding. You're going to see a huge change in him in 2 or 3 days time, maybe 4 at the most. if you do this just the way that I described, and every time that I told you to do it, you're going to see a total difference in that dog in 3 or 4 days. He's still going to be a puppy. He's still going to be playful. He's still going to have fun, but he's going to start getting manners and obedience.
Good thing.
I like it. He's a cool dog.
Yeah, he's not bad.
Yeah.
Not at all. Thank you
Good.
so much.
You're welcome. Do you have any questions?
I do not, but it is our med time for the diabetes. So
Got
that is
it. Go
probably
take care of
time
it.
to go.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, ma'am. You have a good night, Teresa.
You too, sir. Bye.
All right, bye.